What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB, and more specifically an episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. Now today, as we are every Saturday, we're here for a Dynasty trade review show. 10 trades loaded up to review for you guys today, submitted into our free Discord. So if you're not a member of that Discord, go sign up down below. Like I said, it's free to join, but it would not be a Dynasty trade review show without my co-host MFGD. So let's get him into the building and let's start talking about some Dynasty trades. War, how we doing today?
We doing good, man. Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. All right. Look, we got 10 trades. Little bit of Travis Hunter, it feels like. We're seeing some Travis Hunter dip from the injury, him going on IR. We're seeing some dips from Jayden Daniels' injuries. So lots of stuff to cover today. I'm going to pull up the first one that I got here. This is a 12-team Superflex full PPR, 1-point tight end premium, and a start 12 type of league. Now, he says Action is the guy who submitted the trade. He says he's at the end of a long rebuild, so he moves away George Pickens, and he gets Travis Hunter, a 27 second and a 26 third, giving him just 2 more pieces to use as draft picks along the way and down tiering from Pickens to Hunter. What do you think about this type of move at the end of a rebuild?
I personally don't have a problem with this move itself. I do prefer George Pickens over Travis Hunter, just personally, but I don't think this is a bad. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad trade per se. He's at the end of a rebuild. He's trying to get the final pieces going. There's going to be questions of whether or not, you never know with Jerry Jones. So there's going to be questions or not, like whether or not George Pickens is going to even re-sign with the Cowboys. And so that comes with a ton of risk long term, because even though I think it's highly unlikely, I mean, what if you end up with the nightmare scenario that that like George Pickens signs with the Jaguars and they trade Bryant BTJ or something? Like, I'd highly doubt it, but the whole overall sense of it is like, what if he goes back to a situation that he was in Pittsburgh where he doesn't have somebody throwing him the ball, and then you're going to get somebody probably considerably less valuable than Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a conversation with you last week, maybe, where I think you brought up the idea of Pickens, like, what if the Tennessee Titans want to pay him a lot of money to come be Cam Ward's number one? And it's like, that scenario is enough that would make me not want to have George Pickens on my fantasy teams moving forward. But I don't know. Look, man, I think they're close enough assets. I think if you believe in Travis Hunter, you think Travis Hunter is going to be the long-term guy there. We saw flashes from Hunter right before he got hurt, had a couple decent games there. So if you think this is a close wide receiver move and you're going to pocket a second and a third over the next couple of seasons here to finish your rebuild, and this is the end of it, kind of like just getting the final pieces in place, the icing on the cake, I'm sure the foundation is already set there if you're already at the end. So I have no issues with it. Like you said, I prefer George Pickens to Hunter, but this is a fine, fair deal if you believe in Hunter.
What do you think about this? Do you think the injury to Travis Hunter is going to be enough for the Jaguars to be like, okay, we tried to give you a chance to do the offense and defensive thing. You know, we need you to stay healthy. We gave up a lot to get you. You're going to have to pick a position.
I don't know if it's going to be enough to force their hand yet. You know, if this happens 2 or 3 more times, then definitely will be a conversation I'm sure that they have. But it does feel like, to me at least, Liam Cohen, I think they have a plan for him to be more offense than defense. They want to sprinkle him in on defense. But if they're going to force him to pick a position here, I think they're going to push the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not too worried about that either way. Ideally, it would be better, I think, if he just plays the offensive side of the ball for fantasy, because then you have him as a full-time wide receiver and nothing else, and all of the energy goes to the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, I'm just going to say what we've said plenty of times with Brian Thomas recently is I don't really feel like they have a play calling issue. I don't really feel like they have a talent issue. I think they have a quarterback problem, and they have a quarterback in that building that they paid a lot of money that is not the guy.
Yeah, that's my other concern with moving a George Pickens for Travis Hunter. Is like, how far particularly can that quarterback get that wide receiver? So, I mean, it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't. I mean, if George Pickens re-signs with the Cowboys and Travis Hunter continue to be like ascends, but like doesn't reach where we thought he could be because of Trevor Lawrence, like look at BTJ. It's like you go from being been one of the hottest young wide receivers in his rookie year to now, like, people are trading him away for nothing, next to nothing. So, yeah, man, it's dangerous. This is a danger. There's a lot of question marks in this trade.
Yeah, look, people don't want to hear it, but I'm going to say it, and I truly believe it. It's Trevor Lawrence right now is on Tua Tagovailoa career trajectory, and you have Tua, who was the 2020 draft class. Trevor was the 2021. So we're just 1 year, behind with the Trevor. Let Trevor go out and do one more year of what he did, and we're going to be talking about him like Tua. I think that's just the way that it's going to be, because quite honestly, both of these guys have not done really anything for their teams. If you go back and you say, hey, what is the best thing that Trevor Lawrence has done for the Jacksonville Jaguars in his career? He beat the Chargers in the wild card game, like as a second year guy, or who cares? Who cares? Tua also took his team to the playoffs, by the way, and nobody cares either. So
yeah. And honestly, I think with both of those guys, you don't have any discerning elite traits that you see when they play. Like, there's not like, like me and you always talk about our quarterbacks on our teams, right? Like, and they're young. Like JJ McCarthy, we could already say, I know me and you do, we already feel like he has elite level, like, leadership skills. And it's like, okay, I could build around that. Caleb Williams, a magician in the pocket at avoiding sacks. Like just traits that, like, they're known for that you could build on. Trevor and Tua is just like plain white paper, man. It's like you don't know, like there's supposed to be something on this paper, but at the end of every game, it's nothing. Like,
yeah, and they'll fill a box score because they're not bad quarterbacks. They're decent quarterbacks, but they just don't elevate anybody around them. And like, Tua's been fine for fantasy. Trevor's been all right for fantasy as well. Neither of them have been like the worst fantasy quarterbacks you could play. I think a lot of us have said, like, well, when Tua is healthy, he's fine to plug into my lineup. It's this, there's no roster security for him, and the leash is short now there in Miami because he hasn't won games or done really anything to elevate that team. And I think the same thing can be said for Trevor down the line. I mean, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think I asked you, who honestly is the better quarterback? Was it Mac Jones or was it Trevor Lawrence? And I think if you're having conversations like that, might not be the guy. So I'm going to move on to the next trade here. Let's go on to trade number 2. And we got a 12-team Superflex half-point PPR start 9. Now, team number 1 says that they already have JSN, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Teteroa McMillan. So they traded away Jaylen Waddle, JJ McCarthy in a 27-second, and added Emeka Egbuka to this offense as well. So now they have Egbuka slotting in there with all of those wide receivers, giving them, quite honestly, a very, very elite wide receiver room. I gotta ask you, the fact that it is a 12-team super flex, is the difference to add that extra wide receiver worth losing a Waddle, a second, and a McCarthy? I'm gonna assume the second, by the way, is late if all of those wide receivers are young studs that you're plugging into your lineup.
I mean, I definitely don't have a problem with the Egbuka for Waddle part of the deal, but seeing Superflex and seeing the quarterback thrown in there, that's a little bit concerning, because I don't think we have the context of who his quarterbacks are, right?
I don't.
I mean, yeah, so it's hard for me to say, like, trust me, I'm in a league right now where I have multiple young wide receiver studs and mid quarterbacks, and those Malik Neighbors got injured, like, at those young studs, like, will only go as far as their quarterbacks take them. And it's the same for this to a degree, in a sense, because it's hard to win. One thing I've learned this season more than any season is that, and if you've been watching the show for a while, me and Andrew, particularly in rebuild, like, we're like, yeah, running backs, just put it on the back burner. Running backs are super important. And I thought that I could just build a team of stud wide receivers and, like, PPR. I'm going to dominate everybody because I got the receiving game on lock. And I found out that's not necessarily true, especially if you don't have studs at quarterback. So I wish we had the context of who he has at quarterback, because that would influence the way I think about this deal. If he's good at quarterback, I have no problem with giving up McCarthy and Waddle in the second for getting Egbuka, because I think Egbuka is going to be, I don't want to say this exactly, but
I mean, quite honestly, he's top 10 right now at wide receiver.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, could we be looking at like a JSN type of like season next season for Egbuka? And I mean, I don't think that's completely off of the table. And if that's the case, this is a great deal unless McCarthy takes a leap next season, or even further leap in his development next season, and you don't have like the good quarterbacks on your team. That's the only way I have big concerns about this trade. But in totality, if you're good at quarterback, I have no problem with getting Egbuka for Waddle, McCarthy in a second.
Yeah, and I think all of those things are not out of the ranges of outcomes. When I'm looking at this trade, like I was talking with Garrett Price the other day, we were talking about our wide receiver tier rankings, and honestly, after the rookie seasons that Egbuka and Malik Neighbors have had, after the rookie season of Neighbors, we were talking about, well, he's just about to enter that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson tier, and we were talking about that in the offseason, right? Egbuka has had just as good of a rookie season as Neighbors had, and why are we not allowing Egbuka to be put that highly right away as a rookie? And I think a lot of it comes down to pedigree, draft pedigree, and prospect profile. And we were expecting, we were expecting Neighbors to be elite day one. Nobody was expecting Egbuka to be elite day one. So now Egbuka, for better or for worse, is getting the same treatment that Puka got, where it's, I want to see you do it again. I don't need to see it one time to get my bias confirmed. I need to see you do it twice. That's kind of what Egbuka is getting right now. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that that's kind of how I've experienced it going with him in the market. Now, as far as the other pieces go, I'm going to, one more thing on Egbuka is, like I said, he's top 10 to me. I'm not really too worried about Egbuka. If you're trading for Egbuka, I love it for you. The other pieces, McCarthy's a player that, like you said, depending on your quarterback situation, I still have plenty of intrigue with JJ McCarthy in a super flex. If you are relying on JJ as your QB2, your QB3, I'm probably wanting to still hold on and see what I can get out of this, because we're still very early days in the career and the development of JJ McCarthy, and we know that the situation, the coaching, the talent around him are all good. It's just a matter of getting McCarthy to play consistently enough to where the fantasy production is there. And for the record, the fantasy football production for McCarthy has been good, even if the NFL on the field stuff hasn't been good yet for McCarthy, because played the Detroit Lions, scored 30 fantasy points, played the Chicago Bears, scored 30 fantasy points. Like, this is a player who's going out there and having good fantasy football days. So I still think he's a player that I'm interested in. Waddle, I definitely love the trajectory of where Jaylen Waddle can go in the back of his prime here for the Miami Dolphins. They decided they didn't want to trade him. They're not going to move off of him. He's going to go in as the number one the rest of the way for the Miami Dolphins, and I don't expect Tyreek Hill to come back and be the guy for them again. I just don't expect it. I think this is Jaylen Waddle's team moving forward as the number one wide receiver. Can they go out there and address this in the draft? Absolutely. I think it would be really cool to see them go get a guy like a Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate or one of these top wide receivers, a Mekhi Lemon. We talk about guys who look like Tyreek Hill. Mekhi Lemon is about as close as we can possibly get if you wanted to replace him. And then you have Jaylen Waddle as the number one guy. So I think this is a good deal. Lots of intriguing pieces on both sides of the deal here. And the second is, it's just added fluff. It's not anything that I think is like groundbreaking, but I love both sides of this deal. I could make an argument for both sides of this deal depending on team need. Egbuka is the best player. Don't get it confused. So if you have, like we said, the quarterback room in place, and obviously you have the wide receiver depth where you didn't really need Jaylen Waddle, I understand the deal for you.
Out of all these assets in this deal, long term, the asset I worry about the most is Jaylen Waddle, Egbuka, and I know it might sound hypocritical. Like I said, once again, if you've been watching the show for a while, I was the poster boy for I need to see it again with Puka.
Yeah,
yeah. For that, I do not feel that way about Egbuka. Like Egbuka, I'm like, okay, full steam ahead, wheels up. Let's get this thing in the air. Like that. That's
and
how I am with it.
I don't think it's as harsh because Egbuka is still a wide receiver, a first round wide receiver, and Puka was a fifth round. And Puka's coming from BYU, where Egbuka was coming from Ohio State.
Yeah. And then in terms of McCarthy, honestly, I still have all the faith in the world in McCarthy. I have dynasty teams where he's my QB. I have 2 dynasty teams where he's my QB2. So I'm not selling McCarthy stock at all. Like, I was checking something out this morning where the guy was like, yeah, both right now, Drake May is best QB in that class. He had the most faith in Caleb and Drake May. But he pointed out one key thing. JJ McCarthy is extremely young. And when you take his youth into factor, when you take into his good coaching into factor, I wouldn't feel any type of like trepidation when it comes to JJ McCarthy. So to me, him and Egbuka are the two assets in this deal where I'm just like, okay, long term, I still feel good about it. My only concern with Jaylen Waddle, he's in his prime, which it sickens me because I feel like a lot of those years were wasted. Just like I wish they would have got rid of Tyreek Hill a long time ago. Like my only concern is everything else. Like, who the hell's going to be his coach? Who the hell's going to be his quarterback? I think there's a scenario when those guys are both gone at the end of the season. And I do not have confidence in the Miami Dolphins bringing in a good coach or bringing a good quarterback in there. Like, you're talking about Mac Jones. Like, who would you want? Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones? Who would I want? Mac Jones or Tua? Like, I almost like maybe they should bring in Mac Jones to be Jaylen Waddle's quarterback. Like, I don't know. But those are the concerns I have with Waddle. I love Waddle. You know that. So, I mean, there is some long-term risk with Waddle, but...
Yeah. I get it. I do want to correct myself too, by the way. Went back and looked at JJ McCarthy's game log. It wasn't 30 points. It was 26 points against Chicago. He was the QB 11 on the week. And then it was 23 points against Detroit, QB 13. The following week against Baltimore, he was 17 points, QB 14. So regardless, still a player who's performing as a low-end QB1, high-end QB2 for fantasy as far as the production goes. And a lot of that with McCarthy has been the rushing upside. 5 carries for 48 yards in week 10, 9 carries for 12 yards in a rushing touchdown in week 9. He had 5 carries for 25 rushing yards in week 2 and 2 carries for 25 yards in a rushing touchdown in week 1. He's been using his legs more than people I think had imagined, and that was a part of his game that I saw that he could use. I didn't think he was going to be using it like this at the NFL level. I do think part of that, by the way, has been how bad, and not to the fault of anybody, it's been injuries and banged up offensive line, but that offensive line has been a little bit banged up and hurt this year, and I think he's been running a little bit because of that. So we'll see. Ryan Kelly's back in the lineup this week. A couple other guys. Darius Hall's back. Brian O'Neill's back. Should be the first time. We're in week 11 of the fantasy football season this year, and it's the first time that JJ McCarthy will have his starting offensive line all there, all 5 guys starting across the board here. So we'll see what happens this week. But
they would have waited one more week for that to happen.
Yeah, fair. I to be honest, I'll be real. I think you guys get us this week. I think we split with you this year.
That's fine. I think we both had that prediction going into the season too, that we would split.
Yeah, I thought you guys. I'm just surprised you guys let us beat you at home, and now I guess we might let you guys beat us at home. It's gonna be tough, but it'll be a good game. Should be a good game.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's go on to the next trade. Next trade that I got here is going to be a 12-team Superflex, half PPR, tight end premium, and start 10. Team number 1 says they are a heavy contender. So they trade a late 27 first, a late 28 second, and a late 28 third. They get Breece Hall and Calvin Ridley. And I got to ask you, he put in the context, I'm pretty sure this was him. I'm sorry if it wasn't. He said, am I buying low on Breece Hall?
Are you buying low on Breece Hall? Hell no. I'm taking the draft picks in this deal. I'm sorry, man. I get your heavy contender. I get Calvin Ridley. It's just nothing. Like, so
dead
I feel like
as dead asset can be. Dead.
Yeah.
Don't want him.
Like
Calvin Ridley or Troy Franklin. You want Troy, right?
Troy Franklin.
Calvin Ridley or Malik Washington.
Malik Washington.
That's where we're at, by the way.
Yeah. Look, Calvin Ridley, or Io Minor. Calvin Ridley or Chimere DK. Chimere DK right. And Io Minor.
Right.
Like, I'm taking the other dudes on this team over him.
Yeah.
This deal, I'm looking at this deal is Breece Hall for a 27 first, a 28 second, and 28 third.
I mean, I'll happily take the third out and I'll take Ridley out. Ridley's not worth a second these days. He's not worth the first these days. So I'll happily take the 2 out. It's Breece for a late first and a late second. That's what I see.
But maybe this is a fair deal because on one hand, him being the contender, if this is like the point is to win the championship, I always have to remind myself of that. If getting Breece Hall is going to win you a championship, it's a fine deal. I just feel like a late 27 first quite possibly could get you something equal to or greater than Breece Hall long term.
Let me ask you this, because I'm curious. Somebody asked me this on our Q&A last night. They asked what my thought was for the rest of season outlook of Breece Hall. He's obviously not been traded from the Jets. He's going to be their guy the rest of the way. Justin Fields is not playing well enough to give me confidence that he's the starting quarterback the rest of the way. It may be Tyrod Taylor again. We already have Aaron Glenn talking about, I'm not going to tell you who my starting quarterback is. Okay, dude. Like,
Bust of a coach. Bust of a coach.
Dude, whatever. I think everybody with 2 eyes can tell you that you should probably just put Tyrod in the damn game now. But either way, the rest of the way, he's the Jets running back. What is that to you? Like, what is his production level going to be as the starting running back for the Jets in 2025? And then I guess, because we're talking Dynasty, what happens in the offseason with Breece to, make a deal like this feel good for you?
Bro, I'm going to tell you right now, long term, if the Chiefs spin the block on a rumored trade that they were trying to negotiate with the Jets in the offseason, because Breece isn't a free agent or anything, right? So it will have to be a trade if I'm not mistaken.
He will be a free agent. He's a free agent this offseason.
Okay. If the Chiefs spin the block and sign Breece Hall this offseason, this is a great trade for the person that submitted the trade. The one thing I'm fully confident in is that Breece Hall will not be a New York Jet after this season.
The way he was talking at the deadline, there's no way he signs a contract to stay, and if he does, you're an idiot.
Yeah, it will be Myles Garrett's levels of idiocracy of deciding to just remain in poverty. So
because there's not going to be a lack of teams that don't want to give you money. You might as well take some money and go win some games and get out of that hellhole in New York.
It's best for both him and the team to just part ways. The Jets are about to be in a rebuild. They need to just draft a very young running back, and he needs to go to a team.
Have they ever got out of a rebuild? Have they ever got out of it?
No, sorry, Brett. No, they haven't. They've been a perpetual rebuild, even amongst poverty teams. I feel like a few poverty teams like the Bears, they're still considered poverty until like they'll show you flashes. Like this season is a flash. Like it's not because they're not consistently good. Like Andrew's team is more often consistently good than bad. Like maybe they'll have a decent season where they're like good to mid. The Bears will flash. Like our last flash was 2018, and then it's like Pennywise. Like after a certain amount of years, they just make an appearance. Like, hey, we're good, and then they wait another 27 years to play good again. But the Jets is just they're usually just bad, man. They're usually just bad. But I feel good for Breece. If Breece, I feel like he's going to make it a priority to go to a team and win. If he does something stupid, once again, not picking on you guys. If he does something stupid, like sign with the Tennessee Titans, then I'm gonna question his football IQ. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, bro, you deserve everything you get, man. Yeah. If you got to take less money to be a Kansas City Chief, because that's the main team I'm thinking about, bro. You do it. You go be relevant. Go be relevant.
Give me the top 3 spots that Breece could sign with where you would be ecstatic about fantasy.
Definitely the Chiefs. The Chiefs are my number 1. Let's see, my number 2.
I'll tell you mine while you kind of think about it. I think Kansas City would be great. We've talked about that as a trade deadline place. I've continuously also said I think that the Washington Commanders would be an awesome spot for Breece Hall because JCM hasn't done it. Obviously, Eckler's coming off of the Achilles, Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols. Like, brother, if they could get Breece Hall in there, it would be amazing for all parties. And then the RPOs that you could do between Breece and Jayden Daniels would be so dynamic for the offense. So I think that would be a great spot. Sneaky spot that I think would be really good, and call it a homer pick. Minnesota would be a really cool spot for Breece Hall as well, because Aaron Jones isn't a player that I think gives you a ton of faith moving forward at his age. I think he's fine. Jordan Mason has been very unimpressive, and the cost that we use to go get Jordan Mason is enough that like you can just re-roll the dice. Now, ideally, I think Minnesota would be a team that is looking at Jeremiah Love in the NFL draft and saying we just want to draft a rookie running back, a high-end rookie on a contract that's not that expensive. But if they don't go that route, Breece Hall I think would be an awesome guy to kind of put behind that offensive line in the offense to help JJ McCarthy take some of the efficiency by establishing a run game, because the run game just hasn't been good for them this year.
Yeah, I agree. And the whole time you were doing it, I was also just going through teams. I mean, there are teams. I think you named the best 3 teams, the best 3 landing spots for him. But then there's other landing spots where like he could go there, but like I would be worried. Jacksonville, Arizona, I'll be worried. I mean, because I do think he's better than Trey Benson or whatever. And James Conner, I don't know what that's going to look like going forward. He was already like up there in years. Just teams like that. I'm definitely not going to And then there's teams where they have top guys that we did not expect, like Carolina, Rico Dowdle. I think at this point you have to give him, his shot, his complete shot. Like going into a season, you are running back, and if he has the same production, then he's getting long-term answer. And then you got guys like Javonte in Dallas, like, but him and Rico Dowdle are like equal type of assets to me. But like both of those guys are like where I'm going to openly wonder, like, are you going to do this, the following season as well? Like, I hate to say it, they're show me twice, guys. Like, so, but I think Kansas City, Minnesota, Washington Commanders are great landing spots for Breece Hall. The Bears were on the list, but I think the Bears need to keep Kyle Monangai and then focus on finding their Sonic to their knuckles. I don't think that person is Swift, even though he's done fine. I don't think that's Swift. I'd rather draft a guy.
I know you said you like Love as well, Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. Like I want them to draft and I want Monangai to be the knuckles of the team. So I mean, if everything turns out, if Breece Hall goes to one of those teams, I think this is a fine deal. But it's kind of fine given the context, even without knowing where Breece Hall is going to end up.
Well, look, rest of the way, I think Hall's probably going to be a high-end running back 2, maybe a mid-range running back 2 in this offense, just because of lack of scoring opportunities. But overall, like you said, if this is a heavy contending roster and it's your piece that's going to push you over the edge to help you win, you're probably not going to miss a late 27 first. But if Breece, kind of putters through the rest of the season and then something weird happens in the offseason where he doesn't land with a contender and the value doesn't bounce back, you may be looking at that 27 first down the road and saying, man, kind of wish I kept that and not rolled the dice on Breece Hall. So I think this is a very interesting one that could go either way. You guys let me know down in the comments down below where you think the best landing spots for Breece Hall are moving forward. And look, we just talked about trying to predict the future with Breece Hall. If you want to predict the future yourself, go over to Underdog. New customers right now who sign up and play using promo code LeagueFFB. If you play $5, we'll give you $100 in bonus funds right now. So you get $105 into your account where you get to try and predict the future. In the offseason, you can do stuff like picking the higher or the lower on projected win totals, things like that. If you think a guy's going to score 10 touchdowns in a year, you can go higher or lower on that as well. So if you like the idea, the hypotheticals of predicting the future, go try it over on Underdog. It does support this show. Like I said, promo code LeagueFFB is the promo code you want to use to make sure you get that bonus $100 in your account. But without wasting any more time, let's hop right back into today's episode and get back to these trades. All right, so I got the next trade here on the screen. It is a 12-team Superflex, half PPR, and tight end premium. Team number 1 says they are rebuilding, and the 2026 first that they are receiving is a late one. So they traded away Josh Allen and TJ Hawkinson in a rebuild. They get Jayden Daniels, Trey McBride, and a late first in 2026. Do you think the down tier from Josh Allen and a rebuild to Jayden Daniels is worth the up tier to Trey McBride and getting that first round pick thrown in?
Yes, I was when you gave me like a little preview of this trade, I was worried about it because you was like, yeah, Jayden Daniels, Josh. I was like, oh, I took a deep sigh. But now that I see the full trade, I'm fine with it because I think this is the right way that you execute a tear down. Trading Josh Allen always sucks. It does. But if you're going to trade and tear down Josh Allen, get Jayden Daniels, injury concerns aside, we know that when he's on the field, he's going to put up top quarterback fantasy numbers. I'm completely fine with that, especially if you're getting an elite level Trey McBride and the first round pick. Like, so I think this is the right way to execute a tear down of Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful trade to me. You move from Josh Allen to Jayden Daniels. I think of this in startup assets, right? You're moving probably from the top of the first round to the middle to the late of the second or of the first round as well. So you're not getting out of that first round startup pick territory. Still love Jayden Daniels as a dynasty asset. You get a first round pick in Trey McBride. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful upgrades there. I love that for you. I think really this is one of the more simple, just easy, cut and dry type of deals that we've had today. Just wonderfully done. Whoever submitted this one, I can't remember the name. Team 1, you killed it here. I love this one for you.
Yeah. This is a good trade, man. Like, I like seeing trades like this. I feel like, and I don't want to just give love to the person who made the trade. I also think like you can't do any harm by getting Josh Allen, TJ Hawkinson. I'm just hoping that TJ could get back to the level where we know he can be, where we know he could be. And I think the more JJ McCarthy ascends, I think the more you're going to see that out of TJ Hawkinson. But McBride, different type of animal. You're getting the first round pick. I love this trade. It's a good trade.
Yeah, and it's not like crazy lopsided where you're like, yeah, the guy getting Josh Allen got hosed. That's not the case here. Like, you're still
Yeah.
fine because you got Josh Allen. But I'm
Yeah.
curious to ask you. I'm just gonna ask you: would you still do this trade without the late first thrown in? If it was just Daniels and McBride for Allen and Hawkinson, would you still do it?
Yes.
I think I would too.
I almost look. You know what I look at as the first? I look at the first as an insurance policy against Jayden Daniels' health.
Okay.
Yeah, like, okay, the injury concerns, give me the first just so I can feel a little bit better about it. I think that makes that's the value of the first. But even without the first, if I just put Jayden Daniels' injury concerns completely aside, I would still do this deal.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like it. I think it's great. And like I said, neither party should probably be upset. You're pushing the chips in if you're trading for Josh Allen. But like we said, if you're winning a championship, who cares? So I like the Daniels and the McBride side here. Let's move on to the next one. That one was easy. 12 team Superflex, half PPR, start 10. Team number 1 is 4-6, and team number 2 is 3-7. So both of these teams on the outside of the playoffs, not really contending right now this year. So you have team number 1 who is 4-6. Could they sneak in? They trade away JJ McCarthy, DeVonta Smith, and Rico Dowdle, who we just talked about, for Dak Prescott and Omarion Hampton. Now team number 2 being the 3-7 team, they got JJ McCarthy, DeVonta Smith, and Rico Dowdle. So I'm curious to see, your thoughts. The 4-6 team, it does feel like there's still enough season that you can sneak in as like a 6 seed. At 3-7, it still feels like you might have a chance too, but both of these teams seem to be playing more of the cautious approach. What do you think of this deal, man?
So for me, this deal tells me the team number 1 is still trying to get into that final playoff spot.
I still got a puncher's shot right now.
Yeah, because you're bringing in Dak. You're thinking about, okay, Hampton could probably give me that last little late season push if he comes back. And the team that's 3-7, I think they're thinking about next year and also getting some more long term upside with JJ McCarthy. Even though Hampton's in the trade too, but the lifespan of a running back and a quarterback are just night and day. So this deal feels fine. This deal feels fine to me. I think Dak and I don't necessarily know how I'll break this deal down, but the assets going to each side, I think it works for both teams. And at 4-6, honestly, me and Andrew are in a league where everybody's saying, "Oh, you're dumb. You need to rebuild. You need to rebuild. You need to rebuild." And I'm still like, I'm trying to get that final playoff spot. And I feel like right now, me and the person who submitted this, we're on the same wavelength, bro. We're on the same wavelength. Like, let's try to get in, man. Because if you don't get in, you don't know if you fit in. So you need to do what you got to do.
Once you're in, it's any given Sunday at that point. And the difference from 1 win or 2 wins is, maybe getting third place money or picking at the 5 spot or whatever it may be in your league. You know what I mean? Or the 6th spot in your league. But at the end of the day, it's funny because I feel like this deal, you're moving assets that are very long-term, like nice dynasty assets, and then you have 2 assets that are short-term contender pieces. And it's like Dowdle and Dak that are the short-term contenders. I like Dak more than Dowdle as the contending piece. But I think if I have to look at this deal and say which side has the most value, I think it's the Dak and Hampton side. I like that side just a little bit more. It's consolidated up a little bit more. Like DeVonta and I like JJ McCarthy for the long term of this. Rico's a very interesting piece. I'm going to be very interested in seeing how he slots in with some of my running backs, especially as we get into the offseason and we start like updating a lot of those dynasty ranks going into 2026. Like, where is Rico going to fall? It's going to be interesting to see that. But Dak and Hampton, you're not complaining about that. I think it does give you the puncher's chance. And then DeVonta and McCarthy, I don't think you complain about that either. So probably a good deal. I'm just going to lean the Hampton and Dak side though.
Yeah. So Andrew, question: do you think, considering the season that Rico Dowdle and guys like Jeanty had this season, are moving them in the offseason something you're going to consider?
I think it depends on what you can get. If you were a team, this last offseason, I think of like running backs who had good stretches last year, Chuba. If you were selling maybe on a guy, who's a guy last year that had like a really good back half of the year?
Would Chuba Hubbard be a good example of?
Yeah, Chuba was one of them. I think like maybe like a Chase Brown. Chase Brown had a really good back half of the year last year. Like if you were capitalizing on selling those guys, and I get it because in the offseason, I mentioned on many of occasions that I didn't like the value of where Chase Brown was. And people in the comments, people in the community, Andrew, you're a fucking idiot. You're crazy. Why would you sell Chase Brown? I don't know, because sometimes when these running backs who are not highly valued assets overproduce, usually the smartest thing to do or the safest thing to do is pivot out of them and get some additional compensation thrown in. So I'm definitely open to moving Rico. I'm definitely open to moving Javonte. Quite honestly, I'm open to moving any running back ever that is on my dynasty rosters if the price is right. So, if you can get a guy who's like, hey, Andrew, Javonte just had a season where he was a top 10 guy and it looks like the Dallas Cowboys are about to re-sign him. Do you want this first round pick and blank running back? Sure. I'll probably take that and re-roll it and draft a Jeremiah Love or draft a Jordan Tyson or do something like that this year and just re-roll that. If it's a second round pick, probably not. But you know what? I'm still not opposed to, down tiering it and going somewhere else. Could I move Javonte, who's probably highly ranked right now for a lot of people, and down tier him to a guy that maybe isn't as highly ranked, like
Judkins?
I don't think you could get. I think Judkins is still higher ranked than him. But could I go to depending on what happens the back half of the year, J.K. Dobbins is hurt, but could I go to R.J. Harvey and get RJ Harvey and a second thrown in to go to, my Javonte? I would probably explore that. Could I go to a guy where maybe in a dynasty league, if Bucky still finishes the year banged up, doesn't look good, can I just diagonally move across from a Javonte to a Bucky? I think that's interesting. Things like that. I'm always open to explore the running back trades just to exploit the market.
If you could go in a time machine and go back 2 weeks and you had Javonte on your roster, this is stupid because we know we can't get in time machines. You could have Javonte on your roster, but you were able to see what Travion Henderson did the last 2 weeks. Would you go back 2 weeks in the time machine and offer Javonte for Travion Henderson?
Redraft or dynasty? Because I have a feeling you're going to a direction in which one of our leagues we were having conversations about.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about dynasty.
Okay, yeah, no, in dynasty I would still rather have Travion Henderson.
Okay, yeah, because Andrew behind the scene, Andrew helped me broker a deal a few weeks ago, and I'm super excited about it because he was like, hey, instead of that second, why don't you just tell him to throw in Travion Henderson? And it was during Travion Henderson's struggle, and I was like, all right, Andrew.
It was when everybody felt like Travion Henderson was dead already.
Yeah, and it's just I would definitely trade a Javonte for I thought he was dead Travion Henderson from a few weeks ago after seeing what Travion did with the opportunity presented itself.
I thought you were going to talk about our the redraft offer that I got last week, 2 weeks ago. That was Javonte for Travion and Trey Benson, and you accepted your deal with the same package. It was Javonte Williams. You were getting Javonte Williams. You accepted it faster than me because I was on a live stream doing a Q&A, and I was mad that I wasn't able to accept the deal. I thought you were trying to see if I still would have accepted it with Travion's breakout now.
Now, in hindsight, are you now happy that you did not accept the trade faster?
Given my team, I don't think I was going to miss Trey Benson at all because I'm pretty deep. And so I think Javonte still in a redraft league has a safer floor rest of season than Travion. But I like the schedule for Travion much more. It's still going to be coming down to what does the role look like for Stevenson when he comes back into the lineup? Because I do believe that Stevenson's still going to have a role. I don't think it's going to be the same role that he had before because you can't look at what Travion's done over the last 2 weeks and say, we're going to give you, 25% of the snaps again like he was getting before. That's ridiculous. If Vrabel does that, I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do if he does that. But I guess I shouldn't put it past them, but at the end of the day,
I think all these teams are it's a copycat league. All these teams are trying to have Sonic and Knuckles. I think that this is going to be a Gibbs Montgomery thing. I think Travion's going to be the feature presentation back where he's going to get the bigger opportunities and have a more explosive chance of putting up big fantasy numbers. And I still think Stevenson's going to have opportunities to do things like get 10 to 13 points and stuff like that. Yeah. But your guy who's going to get 20 plus points, that's going to be Travion.
Well, and it's because you need Stevenson to be touchdown dependent. He has to get into the end zone to have a day for you. Whereas Henderson, we've seen it now on multiple occasions. I put out a tweet the other day and it was like, oh, it's so funny how when you give your best players the ball, good shit happens. That's funny how this works out, isn't it? It's that simple sometimes for fantasy and for real life football where I have an explosive running back that I spent a top 50 pick on and I hand him the football 13, 15, 20 times and all of a sudden he's breaking off 60, 70-yard touchdowns because I'm giving him the fucking football. This is just how it works out. So I don't know how you can look at that and say Ramondre Stevenson makes this offense better, because Stevenson can't break that 60-yard play. He can't break that 70-yard play on any given touch. So you have to give Henderson the football. But, there's still a group of people out here that are still very much like anti-Henderson for some reason, or maybe just anti-fantasy managers who have Travion Henderson that are like, well, you guys can be happy now because it's going to change when Stevenson gets back into the lineup. Henderson's going back to the bench. Like, fuck you. You don't like fun for fantasy?
Travion is the class valedictorian of players that right now, well, I think the ship has sailed on Travion. Like, you're not getting Travion for low right now. But guys, I'll be telling you, this is free fantasy advice for you guys. Guys, you should be targeting right now, if you can, get you RJ Harvey, because I think that's another one where once the cat gets completely out of the bag, it's going to be hard to get him. And I'm going to give you guys another one too. You guys, like Andrew said earlier, you could think I'm a homer. Watch out. If you better get Luther Burden right now, because Zacchaeus is losing that job. The coach said it. A whole bunch of other people in the Dynasty, the fantasy, the football analytics community has seen it. Everybody is calling for Zacchaeus to lose his touches and give him the Luther Burden, because every time he's been targeted, he's made shit happen. Go get that guy now. If you got a manager that's slacking because he hasn't been getting opportunity, get him now, because it's coming, and it might be too late this week. If you let the Vikings play the Bears, if you don't get them tonight or you don't get them soon, you better do something. Anyway, yeah, man. But Travion Henderson's the leader of that class. Too late for you to go get him now.
Yeah.
Because the boy didn't win off. The boy didn't lost his mind in his last game. You ain't getting that dude, man.
Back to back games too, because it's just been crazy. I put out a poll the other day because I thought it would be interesting, because I just wanted to get a temperature check on the running back class this year. Now that we've seen kind of everybody break out, because we were kind of waiting on Travion to break out, but now that we've seen everybody, I think I had the cat sitting on the lap. Now that we've seen everybody kind of break out, Ashton Jeanty's leading the way. It was just a question of like, which rookie running back would you rather have on your dynasty team right now? Ashton Jeanty's leading the way at 35%. Hampton's at 31%. Travion Henderson's at 25%. And Quinshon Judkins is at 8%. I think Judkins should be higher than that. I think people are default putting Ashton Jeanty number one immediately right now.
I agree.
But it's interesting, man, because I think you can make a case for all of these guys for the most part. Like, all of them have good things to like about them, and I think all of them have been great. And it really is looking like early days still right now, but it's looking like one of the best running back classes we've had in a long time.
Yes. And you know what? I would all three of those guys you mentioned with Jeanty, I would not put it out of the realm of possibility for them to catch or surpass Jeanty. I would not put that out of the realm of possibility. Yep. Unfortunately, because he got injured, Cam Scatterbo wasn't on the list, but even if he was, I wasn't going to feel good about him compared to those guys before. But now after the injury, I really don't feel good about it. So
yeah, it's interesting because it's like the next tier down of like, you got Scatterbo probably in the next one with RJ Harvey, who could break out here soon, and some of the other guys. Could Caleb Johnson get a year 2 breakout if they give him touches?
I forgot all about
maybe. Like, there's still guys that can still get involved. If ETN hits free agency, do we start thinking about Tootin? Like, there's definitely things to think about in this class moving forward. So we got really far off this trade somehow. We still got Hampton. We're having conversations about Hampton.
Hampton there.
Yeah. We're having conversations about Hampton. We're good. I'm taking Dak and Hampton, and I think we should move on to the next trade. All right, let's go on to this trade here. We do have a 12-team Superflex, half PPR, tight end premium, and start 10. Team number 1 said they are tanking, trying to get the number 1 pick in the draft. So what they did is they traded away Jaylen Warren, a point scorer, Chris Olave, a point scorer, and Mike Evans, an older guy, for Garrett Wilson, who's just now went on to IR, a 26th second-round pick, and Jatavian Sanders. I got to ask you, it's a half PPR league, but do you like moving guys like Olave and Warren to get Garrett Wilson in a rebuild, or I guess a full tank here?
Not really, because we talk about this a lot on this show. If you're tanking, you want to get the guy with the high upside that's going on IR that you can, go into next season, and for some reason, just trade.
You losing faith in Garrett?
I'm losing faith in Garrett, especially when I see Olave in there. Because it's like, going forward, I feel like I have more faith in Olave. which is crazy because I was the number one person this past offseason leaving Olave for dead.
The life cycle of Chris Olave has been crazy, man. It was elite wide receiver talent, dead wide receiver, good wide receiver, dead wide receiver. Like, this is where we've been going with Olave, and I think right now we're trending back up to where everybody's like, hey, this Chris Olave guy's not that bad. I kind of like Chris Olave.
Yeah, like if they could have included something else, and it's a second in there. And Jatavion Sanders, I don't know. I've turned down every trade somebody tried to give me him.
If talk about roster clogger, it's just Jatavion Sanders. He might be the poster child right now for roster clogger.
Yeah, I'm sure I have him on some Dynasty teams that don't even notice that he's there.
You don't notice he's there, and then it's like, why would I even try and throw him in a trade? Because I don't think anybody wants him.
Yeah.
He's talented. I mean, he's talented-ish. I mean, he's not like super talented, but obviously it's the Carolina Panthers that is also making this stink a little bit.
Yeah. Your brother tried to trade him to me in the league. I was just like, who is that?
I already knew when you said like somebody's been trying to trade him. I knew it was. I knew it was him.
I was like, who is that? Decline. but yeah, man, Chris Olave. I don't like the idea of trading away Chris Olave because he's scoring points and getting Garrett Wilson because he's not scoring points. If I'm starting to feel like the two assets are like equally like on the same footing as far as what I could think they could do.
Because you view it as Garrett Wilson and Olave, one's trending up, one's trending down. We're about to meet in the middle somewhere. That's what you're seeing.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I wish somebody was dumb enough to like make this trade with you without Olave. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I think Olave is what made the deal work. Like, honestly, I would have traded away Evans and Jaylen Warren. You probably could have still got a second plus. Let whoever keep Wilson. You keep Olave, man. Let them points stay in your lineup, man, because I don't even know who the heck. It's crazy because I don't know who either of their quarterbacks are, but I feel like Olave, I feel like Olave has learned to adjust to having trash quarterbacks because he's been dealing with it for so long.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about Garrett. I think Garrett's being undervalued by you a tiny bit because he's still produced as a high-end wide receiver 2 this year, even with Fields and some of these other guys. He's just dealt with injury this year, and I think that's why you were getting a dip on him. It's the first year of his career that he's really ever dealt with any injuries. So I think for me, if I'm viewing it, if I can get that 26 second for Evans, I'm good selling that right now because I think it's twilight era right now for Mike Evans. We're seeing the end days. So I'm okay moving that. Then I look at this, it's just like JT Sanders for Olave, Warren, and Wilson. I guess it's JT Sanders and Wilson for Olave and Warren, but I could just take JT out and say he's not worth damn shit to me. And it's just Garrett Wilson for Olave and Warren. And I don't have any big issues with that at all. I think if your theory here of I want points off the roster, I'm taking for the 101, the difference between the 101 and the 102 this year, I think, at least in my opinion, is shaping up to be... Actually, let me rephrase that. I think the difference between the 102 and then the next tier right now, to me, feels like a pretty drastic fall off. I have it where 101 today, if I have to make that selection today, is Jeremiah Love. He's the number 1 pick for me. I'm taking him. And the number 2 pick for me is Jordan Tyson. After those two guys, hard line, drop off next tier. So I need to get one of those 2 picks. I need the 101 or the 102 to feel like I really hit on my tank.
You know what, Andrew? I'll be completely honest, and I don't know if he tried this before. So if he did try this beforehand, then kudos. Honestly, dude, before I tried to get Garrett Wilson, who's going on IR, I would have put my tanking first in the deal to try to go get Malik Neighbors. I would have gave this same deal with my first and say, okay, will you be willing to give me Malik Neighbors for the potential number 1 overall pick, Warren, Olave, Mike Evans? And I would have seen and that's if he doesn't already have Malik Neighbors on his tickets. That could be possible.
Right. No, that's interesting. I think that's definitely another route you could have went to. Or here's my tanking 101. Give me Jayden Daniels. Like, get an injured young guy in a super flex league and try and go from there. Like you said, you got to probably throw in Olave and these things too. But like, here's Jayden Daniels now on my team, because I'm telling you right now, there's not a Jayden Daniels type of quarterback in this year's class. It's just not there. So I think it's interesting. I like the process. I like the thought process. I think it's doing it well. If If you don't like the guys at the top, though, when you're tanking at 101, start shopping that. You can still shop that later down the road. Like we said, if you want to go shop that for neighbors in the offseason, you want to shop the 101 for something in the offseason, go do it. But I think right now you got to secure it now because you've kind of traded away some of these talents.
Yeah, and I think too, like that if you are planning to do what Andrew said and shop your number one overall pick to get a player, if you're going for a guy like Jayden Daniels or Malik Neighbors, you want to do that now in season, because in the off season, you're just going to be like, why would I trade these guys for your first?
Yeah, it gets more expensive in the offseason when we don't have to set line. So let's go on to the next trade here. We do have quite a few left, honestly, I think. So we probably need to speed through them because we're already at an hour and 2 minutes. 12 teams, Superflex, full PPR, and tight end premium. Team number 1 is reloading for 2026. So they traded away Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, and Alec Pierce for Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, and a 27 first-round pick. So you get both of the Jags wide receivers and a first. It costs you CMC, Purdy, and Alec Pierce. What do you think about that?
I was about to fire the person who made this trade into the sun, because I never want to acquire 2 players at the same position from the same team. But when I seen that 27 first right there, I was like, okay, fine. Because that really, to me, that really is the deal breaker for me. Like, I do not recommend, I'm 100% against rostering 2 players at the same position from the same team. I'm just 100% against that. I'm damn near against rostering a running back and a wide receiver from the same team, let alone 2 wide receivers. Christian McCaffrey, nothing much really has to be said there. We know who Christian McCaffrey is. We know what he could do. We know that his value is based season to season. This season value's high. Was it going to be next season? Brock Purdy,
I think this is cash out time, by the way, on CMC. I think this is cash out time because we're removed enough from the injury scares with CMC, and we've seen enough fantasy points hit our lineups, and we're right at that trade deadline where people are trying to make those final pushes for the championship. CMC is a player that if you acquire right now, you feel like you can win a championship. So I think his value is at a high right now. If you are a middle of the pack team, you're a fringe team, you're a team that's uncertain, maybe CMC is just some added value that you got in the offseason, because in the offseason you could buy him for a second, and now you're putting him on your team. This might be cash out time.
Yeah, 100%. If your team not winning the championship and you got Christian McCaffrey and you in the Dynasty League, it's time to, pack his lunches back, put his sandwiches, apple slices in his lunch pail, pull in his backpack, and send his ass to school.
Are you flipping straight up just any 27 first for CMC? You just flipping it? Yeah.
If I'm not a title contender, I'm trading CMC. Trading CMC. And Brock Purdy, I still feel good about Brock Purdy. But
really undervalued right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. Brock Purdy is not enough to make me think that, okay, because as standalone assets, let's just wipe the team from it completely. Let's imagine that they're not on the Jags. If you're getting BTJ, Travis Hunter in the first, you did pretty good in terms of a team that's reloading. You're getting 2 young wide receiver assets in the first round pick, and you're trading away a running back that we both just said you need to cash in. A wide receiver that at best is probably like a boom or bust flex piece for you without Pierce. And then you're getting Brock Purdy, who I feel like as long as he's the starter, I feel like he'll be a high-end QB too. So, I mean, for those pieces, I think it's fine. I just don't like the 2 Jags in one team thing.
I get it. I think from the value perspective, though, you definitely take the young wide receivers in the first, especially in a reload. And if you need to flip now one of these Jags wide receivers, you flip them. I think you're buying low a little bit on Thomas. I think you're buying low a little bit on Hunter. You wait to see which one of them starts getting that value bump, and then you probably sell the one that gets the higher value bump, and you keep the other guy. Like, that's probably what I would be trying to do. And then, or pick the guy you believe in. If you believe in Brian Thomas more, sell Hunter. If you believe in Hunter more, sell Thomas. And then you can, move that laterally for another player. Who's to say you can't move, BTJ plus something in there to go get to a Lad, like a Lad McConkey, and now it's Lad plus Hunter plus a 27 first. You know what I mean? So I think that's something you could do. Or can you move Brian Thomas straight across if you don't believe in BTJ? I'm not saying this is what I would do, but if you don't believe in BTJ, you move him laterally across for T. Higgins. You like T. Higgins and Travis Hunter? Like, I feel like that's better too. So I'm saying these to give you ideas as to additional moves, not saying that these are exactly the moves that I would be making, but to give you an idea of what you can do now that you have both Jags wide receivers. So let's move on to the next trade. trade. Next trade that I have here is a 12-team Superflex tiered PPR and tight end premium. You do have Olave and Jeanty being received for Nico Collins, a 26 first, a 26 second, Alvin Kamara, and Dylan Gabriel. So really a lot of pieces moving over here, but I think there's obviously the main pieces of Nico, a first and a second. How do you feel about this? I mean, we just talked pretty in detail about Olave and Jeanty in like the previous two trades, but I guess how do you feel about Nico right now?
I still feel good about Nico. I feel like Nico is still the best wide receiver in this trade. I feel like he's still the best wide receiver in this trade. I understand that the best asset in this trade is Jeanty. If we're looking across Nico and Jeanty, I still think Jeanty is probably the better asset over Nico overall, but I do think Nico is the best wide receiver, better than Chris Olave. Kamara is reaching Calvin Ridley levels of deadness to me. And I hate to say it because Kamara is one of my favorite running backs, but he's starting to get to it.
One of the best fantasy running backs we've seen in the last decade, probably since LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, and it's always sad when they start to get to this point in their career where it's like you're going to be on waivers like soon enough.
I remember the day I had to drop Dalvin Cook off of my roster. And it hurt my heart.
Yeah. And those guys are like from the same era too, so it's like his time's coming. So I don't feel good about Dylan Gabriel. I'm sorry. Like, I do not see peakable Dylan being like a long-term answer in Cleveland. I think he'll be a backup somewhere. I don't think there's a starter. I don't think there's a starter in Cleveland unless somehow Shadur gets a shot and just looks like the biggest steal of the century. So you're getting a backup quarterback, a running back that's probably done after this year. I really don't understand the logic in trading for Kamara because I don't think he can help your roster, your fantasy roster this season.
I don't think he helps you really long term either.
Yeah. Dylan, the only person that can help you really is Nico. Getting the first and the second. And getting the first and the second is cool. So I mean, can we look at this, Andrew, as Collins the first and the second for Olave and Jeanty?
You could. I think it's putting those assets to zero, which they're probably not zero. Like if I'm getting Kamara, I'm still probably going to add him and I'm going to try and flip him to somebody for a late second if I can get it. If I can, I'm okay accepting an early third. Like I'm okay going for a third round pick for Kamara if I don't need him in a window where I'm not trying to win. And Gabriel, like I'm trying to do the same thing. You want this third round pick so I can just re-roll that next year? Do you want to give me, can I give a team in a super flex league that needs a starting quarterback? Can I give you Dylan Gabriel and you give me like Malik Washington or Troy Franklin? Like, can I get that from you? That's probably what I'm trying to do. So I think they're fine. If I'm looking at it, it's like, I think the side most people would want to prefer and should prefer is going to be the Jeanty and Olave side because one, I think Jeanty's the most valuable asset in the deal here, and Olave, like you said, is trending up. I kind of wish we knew where these firsts and seconds were going to land because that could deter the way we think about this a lot. But honestly, the more that I look at it, the more it's probably a pretty fair deal. I just think it feels cluttered because you're getting Kamara and Gabriel, who neither of us really enjoy to roster right now in Dynasty.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like Nico Collins, like, I don't feel like we've really seen the full Nico Collins effect this season too. So I feel like
no.
There's a lot more runway to like what we can get now. And I think some people might be panic selling Nico a little bit. I'm not saying that's what's happening in this deal, but like just the way I look around like other deals that are made, I think that we might be seeing people like saying, oh yeah, CJ Stroud's not playing good. Nico Collins had an injury. Let's get out on it. I still think Nico Collins will be fine.
I do too. I've been trying to check the temperature on Nico in a couple leagues as we got to the deadline because if I can get him for like high-end wide receiver 2 prices, I'm all in.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver 1 for sure.
Yeah, and I think there are people who will sell him to you as high-end wide receiver 2 prices, just based off of what we've seen this year. So let's go on to this trade. I think we got 2 more. It is a 12-team Superflex PPR, 1-point tight end premium, and start 12. They are retooling, and the first are projected to be early to mid. So we get an early to mid 26 first, early to mid 27 first, Bryce Young, Mason Taylor, and Davis Mills. You're giving up Caleb Williams, Isaiah Likely, and Pat Freiermuth. I think really here, it's pretty simple.
Let's see if you're going to break it down the same way I'm breaking it down in my mind.
It's pretty simple to me to kind of just go in and say Likely and Taylor can cut each other out for the most part, and probably Mills and Freiermuth. I think Taylor's probably a little bit over Likely. I think Freiermuth is over Mills. We can probably just cut all of that out. It's Bryce Young and 2 firsts for Caleb Williams. That's what I'm seeing.
If that 27 first is early, then I like the deal a hell of a lot more than if that 27 first is mid.
I think he said both of them are early to mid. I'm pretty sure he's more confident that the 26 is going to be to the mid and the 27 is early. So I think it's mid 26, early first in 27.
So honestly, does it come down? Look, man, I think you know what side I'm taking. Man.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, 2 firsts for Bryce Young is damn near dead. So, I mean, he's not as dead as Kamara or Ridley, but like he's dead enough to where I'm like, is we gonna be looking at you as Dylan Gabriel in a couple seasons?
Peekaboo Bryce.
Peekaboo Bryce, yeah, like. So then it's like, okay, 2 firsts for Caleb Williams, and it's kind of just like
they're both early to mid though, and 27 is elite for early.
It is, man. Okay, you know what? So from my perspective, it's a fair deal.
All right, I don't hate you saying it's a fair deal. I think you have an argument for going the pick side in the retool. However, I'm going to jump in here also kind of to your defense. Caleb Williams is not a player that I'm like out on right now by any means. I've had my frustrations with Caleb Williams. I've had my, shit talking to Caleb Williams to you where it's like
I've had my shit talking to I've called him some very derogatory names.
To where it's just like frustration, bro. Like get this shit together now. We got what 20-something 25 games under the belt. Like let's get this shit rolling. But he has been a fantasy contributor still. So I still think there's still, a lot to like about Caleb Williams. So I think it's a fair deal as well for you. It is let me just say this, and this is probably the best way to describe it. If everything goes right on Action SJ's side, where that early 27 first is early and you do get that 26 pick to be mid and everything is right, it could go well for you. But there is a lot of inherent risk that you are getting on this side, because if you don't get the early 27 first, and if the 26 pick that you make maybe isn't the best pick, maybe it's a bad player or you trade it for something that doesn't work out, and that is all fantasy football, by the way. But if that happens, you could be looking at this and saying, why the hell did I trade Caleb Williams? Because I didn't get what I needed back. And so I think there's a lot of risk here, but you are gambling, my friend. And if it pays out, the casino pays out handsomely.
Yes. You have to hit on both of those picks. Just cut dry. You have to hit on both of them. I have more confidence, and not just because I'm a Bears fan, because trust me, I've had moments this season where I said Caleb sucks. Like I've said that this season. I have more confidence in Caleb Williams' ceiling than I do right now in those picks. But if you hit on both of those picks, particularly if your 27 pick is a quarterback and you hit, and that guy, he doesn't even have to be on the level of Caleb Williams. He just has to not be like he has to be like a good young prospect that's not a bust. And then let's say you hit on your 26 pick and get some good like position running back or wide receiver, then the deal's a win for you. Like you have to those two assets, those 2 firsts have to be even a smidge better than Caleb Williams as an asset.
Yeah.
Bryce Young,
I think he's these days probably worth in a 12-team start 12. I think you'll be able to net probably an early second.
I'm right. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's where we're at. So
that's it.
Let's move on to the next trade. I think this is the last one here. This is a massive trade. But a 12-team super flex PPR tight end premium. It is a retooling roster who has Neighbors and Burrow, and so this is what they do. And we can do the cross out game to simplify this a little bit as well. But they trade away. Keep in mind, this is the retooling team with Neighbors and Burrow. They trade away Gibbs, McCarthy, Henry, Stafford, and Tillman. They receive Jayden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, Travis Hunter, Trey Benson, and Adonai Mitchell. So that is the trade here. How do we want to start breaking this down? Because this is a massive deal.
I think, okay, so let's not be disrespectful like all the way to some of these assets, but some of these assets, I think we could just take them out of there because there's levels to this shit. Trey Benson, AD and Trey AD.
Benson, I don't think we can take Benson out. You don't
think so? Okay. We'll leave in. Let's take AD out. Let's take Tillman out. out. Can we do that? AD and Tillman.
I prefer Tillman to AD by a decent amount, but I'm okay doing it.
Yeah, just to like balance
Simplify.
it out because
I think here's kind of where I want to start, if you don't mind. I'm thinking of this from a super flex startup draft. How far off in a startup are Jayden Daniels and Jahmyr Gibbs? Not very far off, right?
Not very far off.
Like we're talking probably about them in the same type of bucket.
Same, both in the first round.
Probably both the middle to late first round.
Yeah.
So can we talk about Daniels and Gibbs being equal assets? Is that fair?
Yes, because I think their position in getting drafted is going to be based on philosophy, how people want to build their roster. Some people might take Gibbs first in the startup. Some people might take Daniels first in the startup.
And you would prefer of the two?
Probably Daniels because I'm a quarterback first guy, yeah.
So here's what I'm willing to do, actually. We both said we would prefer Tillman a little bit more than Adonai. Let's take Adonai and Daniels and Tillman and Gibbs and cross them out. You get the little bit of extra on the Tillman side that would bridge the gap between Gibbs and Daniels. So that leaves us with Benson, Marvin, and Hunter for Stafford, Henry, and McCarthy.
Benson, Hunter, and Marv. Stafford.
Where are we at with Marvin and McCarthy?
Marvin, I feel better with him without Kyler involved. I feel better with him without Kyler involved. And you said McCarthy?
Yeah, like Marvin and McCarthy, I feel like those would be the next two assets that I'd look at and say they might be in the same bucket.
I value McCarthy more than Marv.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think they should be similar assets.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what you were saying about Gibbs and
Daniels. It's the quarterback preference versus the other.
Yeah, they're in the same. They're like in the same round.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same round, but I was giving a slight nod to McCarthy because it's super flex.
Yeah. So if we wanted to cross them out as similar assets, you're looking at Hunter and Benson for Henry and Stafford.
If we are talking about...
I think Dynasty assets, Hunter's the most valuable there.
Yes. Because now it comes down to what is your team doing? Like if the person submitted the trade is rebuilding, which I think you provided that, and he's retooling.
They said, yes, they're retooling.
Then I like it for him if he's retooling.
I do too, because you're moving Stafford and Henry, who are aging assets, for Hunter and Benson, who are younger ascending assets potentially in the next 12 months.
I feel like if the person who, just looking at the other side, the person receiving the Stafford and Henry side
and Gibbs.
And Gibbs, if they're rebuilding, then I think because of the context of the deal, I think this is a bad move for them if they're rebuilding.
The person getting Stafford and Henry and Gibbs, they have to be a contending roster. If you're trading for those assets, you're trying to win. And I like that for you if you're trying to win.
Andrew, there's people.
I know, but anybody
people.
with half a fantasy brain is making this move if you're pushing the chips in to try and win. Stafford, Henry, and Gibbs, they help you try and win this year. And I think that's a strong move to do, and I don't hate it. I think, honestly, the more that we look at this, I think this is a very fair, well-thought-out deal. It's a well-thought-out deal. Two teams that are working well together, probably good trade partners because one is going in the contending direction and one is going in the retooling direction. And I think I like, the guy who submitted this saying he's retooling with Neighbors and Burrow. Now you get to look at your team going into 2026, going into the offseason with Daniels, Burrow, Neighbors, Marvin, Travis Hunter, plus the other guys that you have on the roster, and Trey Benson, who, with James Conner's injury, are we talking about Benson as the starter in Arizona going into 2026? Like, that's an interesting conversation to have as well, and he could have a good back half of the year where his value goes up and you can flip him in the offseason for something else. So I think it hurts, looking at Gibbs and saying, like, man, I'm trading away Gibbs and I'm trading away Stafford, who's having a good year. But this is a fair deal, and I think you did a good job navigating your direction, having a clear direction for your team, and I like the Daniels, the Marvin, the Hunter, the Benson, and the Adonai side as much as we wanted to throw away Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah. It's rare to see a big trade like this without draft picks in it, but here we are.
Straight up, these are just players. We're trying to fix these rosters.
Old school trade, just straight meat and potatoes.
Yeah, man, I like it. But this is a solid trade. I like it. And I love when it's, takes a little bit of the puzzle piecing to figure it out a little bit, because that makes you think, especially when you get trades that have 10 plus assets in it like this one. It's just crazy to see that. So look, longer episode today. We are right now 123 pre-edit. We'll see how much I can chop this down. But look, man, I appreciate everybody who submitted trades today, gave us the opportunity to talk some Dynasty Fantasy Football for you. As always, if you want to submit some trades in the next episode, the best way to do that is to go join that free Discord. We are going to try and run this through the rest of the season. I know some people are going to get Dynasty trade deadlines and things like that coming up, so keep submitting those trades. The less trades that are getting submitted each week, it just means the higher probability your trades get picked. So use that as an incentive to keep submitting trades into that Discord. Like I said, free to join, no risk in doing that. If you found something today informative, entertaining, actionable, anything, you just want to show us some love, hit that like button. It is the best free way to show the channel some support. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed. We're trying to get to 7,500 by the end of the NFL season, and we can only do that if you guys are new around here and tap that subscribe button, because you want to see this content, you know, all year round. We got it coming for you all year round. This is a staple to the channel, is the Dynasty Trade Review Show. But that being said, I have nothing else for you guys today. War, do you have anything for the people before we get on out of here?
Yes, and I'm going right into it right after me and Andrew get done, wrap this thing up. I want you guys to follow me on the Crimson Mass Show. That's a YouTube channel, and then I'm also the Crimson Mass Pro Wrestling. We post pro wrestling shorts. It's going to mainly be going forward me just shooting my shots about pro wrestling and making shots, hitting threes on these wrestling takes. And you know what? Check us out. Full steam ahead, y'all.
Full steam ahead, man. I appreciate everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. But until then, peace out.